Hey there everyone, this is Joe in General, your resident reason and evidence enthusiast. This is a very quick Bitcoin price update. If you can hear some noise in the background, that's my washing machine on, but I couldn't wait to make this video any longer because we may be seeing a potential head and shoulders pattern forming. What is a head and shoulders pattern? I'll quickly talk about that, but it potentially indicates, and I say potentially, indicates prices going down further. And again, I need to stress potentially. So this is on the 3-day time chart. You can't really see the head and shoulders pattern yet, but I wanted to zoom it out to the macro, and then we'll go further into the micro. Of course, we've got the high here of that 49.80 and that big low here of just under $3,000. Of course, the bitcoinwisdom.com website, it's the Bitstamp exchange. Always keep that in mind, and it's priced in US dollars. So let's quickly zoom in. That's the 3-day time chart. We've got the 1-day time chart. We're talking about this area right here. Still really can't see it just yet. As we move into the 12-hour, you can potentially see it happening here, particularly if you already know what a head and shoulders pattern is, well then you can already see it. This is the 6-hour and this is the 4-hour. Now, definitely on the 4-hour, people who already know what a head and shoulders pattern is can probably see it formed already, or it's almost completed. We'll see what happens from here. But if you're not familiar, here is the shoulder, here is the head, and here is the right shoulder. Now, what does this potentially mean? As I said, potential price movements to the downside if the pattern plays out. But how it normally plays out, how the head and shoulders plays out, is you have a market rise, it comes to a peak, and then a decline. So that forms the left shoulder. Then you have another rise in the price, which forms a higher high, a higher peak, right? Higher than here. And then another decline, and the decline comes back close to the previous decline, not always exactly. It doesn't have to come exactly, right? It might be a little bit above or a little bit below. Right, so another decline coming off the head pattern right there, and then another rise, but the rise, the peak of the rise, is lower than the head, and it's kind of close to the other side of the shoulder, followed by another decline. Now, this pattern hasn't played out in its entirety, and we'll pop in a little neckline, as they call it, to see where the price needs to break through in order for people like you and me to go, looks like this pattern's played out in its entirety and we may see lower prices. So what you do to get the neckline, we'll just go right here, put that on free, and you take the low of the left shoulder, so that would be right here, and you match it up with the low from the decline off the head, so right here. Right, so as you can see, this forms the neckline. And again, as I said, it's not a, it doesn't have to be symmetrical, right? So it can come down, so it doesn't have to be a straight line like that, a horizontal line. Now, what we need to see in order for this pattern to be played out in its entirety, which then may indicate prices going lower from here, is we need to break the neckline. Okay, so if I pop into maybe to the 2-hour, what we need to see again, here's the left shoulder, the head, here's that right shoulder. In order for this head and shoulders pattern to play out in its entirety, we would need to see the price break below this neckline right here. And currently, at current prices, again, Bitstamp exchange US dollars, that would anywhere from between, if it breaks here, anywhere between, let's say, $3,540, so $3,540 US dollars Bitstamp exchange, anywhere up to, that's probably getting a little bit too far out for it to form a shoulders pattern. So anywhere up to, actually it's around about that price. So about 3,540, maybe 3,000, no, not even there. Let's say 3,500, possibly 3,550, somewhere between 35.40 and 35.50. It needs to break that neckline. If it breaks through there, particularly if it comes down here and breaks through there, then more often than not, and it definitely doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there's a larger potential that you will see a drop in price. Now, where does the drop in price go to if the head and shoulders pattern is played out? Well, the potential is that the price drops according to the distance between one of the lows here and the head, the difference between it. So for example, if we take this price right here, which is at $3,512, and the difference in price between that and the high, which is at about $41.20, it's around about a $600 difference, give or take a number of dollars. So potentially, if it breaks this neckline right here, you could potentially, again, I'm repeating the word potentially, see a decline of that same difference, a $600 difference, and $600 difference from here is putting it at around about this price right here of that previous low of $29.72, actually a little bit below. But you do have this low posted, so that could be potentially a significant support level. So again, I really need to stress, this doesn't always play out. First of all, the head and shoulders pattern may not play out. We do need to see this neckline broken. So what could happen from here is the price could just consolidate through time, and therefore this doesn't form a shoulders pattern anymore. In order to form another shoulder pattern, you need to have that rise and a quick decline. Now, if the price sort of saunters along here, has a little bit of a rise and then back down, well, that's not looking like a shoulders pattern anymore. So we would need to see the price come back down to around about that 35.40 level pretty soon, pretty quickly, in order to form that right shoulder, and then the whole head and shoulders pattern is played out in its entirety. Again, needs to break through that neckline right there. And once again, don't mean to repeat myself, but if we do, you could potentially see the equidistance price decline of about $600, and that equates with this previous low. So once again, not saying it's going to happen. Now, what I would get you to do, if you like, is again go over to investopedia.com. This little link right here, I'll put a link to it in the info section and part of the pinned comment. Have a read through what the head and shoulders pattern is. Also have a look at what the inverse head and shoulders pattern is. So you've got the other way as well. So not just a head and shoulders pattern where it indicates potential lower prices, but you've got the other way as well, where you would have coming down from here, for example. Let's just say we came down from here and then we came up to here, and then we had a little bit of a decline here, and that forms this left shoulder, and then you come back up and then you have another decline and that forms the right shoulder. Then that could indicate prices rising. So it's not always just prices lowering. So, but the head and shoulders, this one that looks like the traditional head and shoulders, if it plays out, could potentially have that decline. And similarly, there's that inverse head and shoulders as well. So that's the head and shoulders pattern, both the regular one and the inverse one, something to keep a lookout for when you are trading Bitcoin and other markets, of course. But at this stage, without repeating myself too much, seems to be forming, not all the way in its entirety, but possible forming. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Need to see it break that neckline though before we potentially see a decline in price. Does not mean it's going to happen though. But I just wanted to let you know because it was a pattern that I noticed, and I'm sure other traders may potentially be noticing that right now. So if you want to stay updated on the Bitcoin price, I do a weekly Bitcoin price analysis, and every now and then when something like this happens, I'll do a little update in between. And of course, I'm doing looking at different ICOs, initial coin offerings, and much more on my channel. So hit that big red subscribe button right there, and you may become one of my newbies. 5,886 subscribers as of right now. Welcome to all the newbies that have come on board in the last 24 hours. All right, gang, that's it. Stay safe, stay informed. Speak soon.